I just built my very first sluice box as an absolute beginner. Here's how I did it and if I do it again. So I went to a place called Core Metals. They sell a lot of scrap metal or cut off pieces, stuff like that. And I got this sheet of aluminum, 12 inches wide by 5 feet long. They charge $3.50 a pound, and this cost me 16 bucks. So I'm gonna make a 2-foot sluice and a 3-foot sluice. Just a disclaimer, this was originally made for my bronze casting channel. Obviously, I kept on prospecting, so now I put it on this one. But anyway, I'm gonna mark and cut the pieces, one at 2 feet long and one at 3 feet long. Now I think this is 16th inch aluminum, about that, so I don't think it'll be too difficult to bend. Now for the sidewalls, I'm going to make them 2 inches high, which will give me an inside diameter of 8 inches. Now to make the bends, I got these pieces of steel angle iron. I think that's about an 1/8 inch thick piece. I got 2 of them by the pound, 10 pounds, so it's 10 bucks. And I made sure that the angle was 90 degrees, not one of the rounded ones. And that's a surface I'm going to bend this on. Now I've seen bending metal before, but I've never done it myself. Part of the perks of watching my videos is that you can see me make mistakes, so you don't have to. Now if I would have drilled and screwed these onto my workbench, they would have been a lot more secure, but I didn't want to leave holes in my workbench, so I just took some clamps and clamped them on as hard as I could. Now I saw another guy do this trick where he just took a plain screwdriver and he scratched into the metal of the aluminum, and that helped it bend better. The mistake I made is I didn't scratch deep enough for it to be super effective. I used some vice grips and some massive pliers to give it a bend, and that wasn't super easy to do. So what I ended up doing is grabbing a hammer and hammering the bend into the metal. That's not the cleanest, shiniest way to do it, but it did work. Now the hammer did rattle loose my clamps, so I had to reset those and do a little extra hammering. And I put the metal over the corner of my workbench to give it a little sharper angle, but I did find a trick that made making the next one much easier. Although I didn't discover that until after making this next bend. So there's my aluminum box. Most of them have like a flared funnel effect. This one doesn't. They're pretty square, but it is a little bit rounded. I think on the next one I'll carve those grooves a little deeper so it folds on a specific line. You can see the hammer marks, but I don't think that'll matter. Next step, I need to put the matting in. The matting's in the mail. In the meantime, I'm going to use a Dremel tool to actually scribe a line deeper into the aluminum so it's going to be easier to fold. This will be my 3-foot sluice, and I'm going to modify it a little bit to give it a flare on the end. So what I did here is I took my Dremel and I scored the lines. So I probably cut 1/4 to halfway through the aluminum. So hopefully it'll be easier to bend right there. Right here I cut all the way through and then scored these angle lines as well. So now I'll try to bend it. I'll clamp it same as before, and when I start the bending process, it is so much easier with that deeper scribe line. I'm still going to pull out the hammer and hammer in that bend, but it leaves a much sharper defined corner. And that side looks pretty good, so I'll do the same thing to the other side. And these corner pieces that'll make up the flare don't take that much to bend. Well, that bent up a lot easier and a lot cleaner with that scored edge. And with this system, I got a nice flare on there too. Now there's a gap there, and maybe I'll just caulk that shut so water doesn't squirt around the edge. Next up, I bought some of this fine sawtooth mat. It's supposed to be really good for catching flour gold around here. So this is 10 inches wide, so I'm gonna have to cut it down precisely and lay it in my sluice.
Splinter gave this a thorough inspection and he's pretty sure it's going to work. Now my bed is exactly 8 inches wide, so I'm going to measure that as precisely as I can and cut it with a razor.
So now I got my mat cut to size, and that'll fit right in the box like that. Lays nice and flat on the bottom. There was this little triangle that didn't fill in, so I took part of the cut off, cut a little triangle, and that fits in there. I'll glue that to the mat so it'll be one piece. And I think that'll work. Let's go find some gold. So now I got 2 sluice boxes, a 2-foot and a 3-foot. That 10-inch by 3-foot matting cost me $26.98. The aluminum cost $16.02 to be precise. The angle iron cost me $10. So in total, we're at $53. I will need another piece of matting for the 2-foot sluice. An 8x24 piece, cut to fit, is $18. So for 2 sluice boxes, $71. That's more than I thought it'd be.
Now to fill in those gaps in the flare, I just mixed up a little JB Weld and smeared that over to seal it shut. And it works. We'll just see how long it lasts. Now for the first test, I scooped up some Lake Superior black sand. There's supposed to be gold in it. I've never found any, but let's give it a try. Now to test this, it's kind of like the blind leading the blind. I've never used a sluice box, ever, so I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm hoping to have some educated commenters give me some advice in the comment section. What I'm doing here is using my garden hose to set up a flow in the sluice box. The gold found in this region is from Glacial Till, and it's super small flower gold. I've been watching video after video from the Flower Gold Wizard channel, and I've learned a lot from them, but there's a difference between watching and doing. This small VMAT seems to just fill up with the black sand right away. So it doesn't take long, and I figure I'm ready for a cleanup. So I'll clean up the mat and then pan that down and see if we've captured any gold. Now I should probably buy a bag of pay dirt and run that through there so I can actually measure how much gold I'm capturing with this. Because as of now, I'm just playing in the dirt. So I brought it to the bank of the Mississippi, where I know I found gold before. Not a lot, but I know it's there. So what I'm going to do is classify some material and then run it down my sluice. Now I'm not allowed to use anything mechanical, so I just have a bucket with a nozzle on there to give me a flow of water. I'll run some dirt through and see if we've captured any gold. I have to keep scooping up water with my bucket to keep the flow going. When I pan that out, I'm not really seeing much. I seem to find more gold in a pan than I'm getting with the sluice. So the question is, does the sluice not catch gold, or am I just not using it right? I set it up in a few more spots in different river flows, and it does catch some gold. I can't say that it works better than panning, but I did find some. Here's what I got. Some of the tiniest, flattest flakes you'll ever see in your life. But that's what's in the Glacial Till around me.
So was it worth it, and would I do it again? To be honest, I'm not sure. The biggest expense of a sluice box seems to be the matting. Some mats are a couple $100, but that's what actually catches the gold. It's not so much the aluminum part. You can go on Amazon and spend less money on a sluice box than I spent to make these. Are they better or worse? I don't know. What I do know though is now I have a sluice box and it's a lot of fun. Here's an update on my sluice. So this small V-mat capture mat really wasn't working that well. So I invested in a Dream Mat. It's got Dream Mat Micro here and a little bit bigger version of it to catch a different size gold or different material. And this works way better. But this mat alone ran me $84. To attach it, I just drilled 2 holes and got a piece of copper there. That clamps it down, and you can see the V-mat kind of helps hold it down as well. And then I got some wing nuts that hold it to the back. That's the update on my sluice box.
Here's your explanation of why I built this for my bronze casting channel. And if you want to check out those videos, check out Lundgren Bronze Studios.
I think it would be really cool to find enough gold to cast my own ring. But with the amount of gold that's around me, it might take a couple centuries. In the meantime though, what is easy to find is black sand. Now by using a magnet, I can collect a whole bunch of this black sand. This is magnetite, aka iron ore. And what I want to do is make a smelter. Smelt my own block of pure iron and make cast iron from start to finish. So even if the gold collecting doesn't pan out, I still got the black sand. That's why a metal caster built a sluice box. Let me know your thoughts. Come on back for the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.